first one is just kind of the basics, just starting with a template. I know there are actual like stadium templates that you can choose from, but what I mean by that is just I have a couple of blank ones saved. So like this one is my waterfront one, and it's just a base one to build off of, since I build all of mine from scratch. So that's kind of the way I like to do it. So that kind of just gives you a good starting point, and then obviously base that around what you're doing with the ballpark too. If you're trying to build a new ballpark for Las Vegas or like Arizona, you're not going to have a giant waterfront like that. So just kind of keeping it in line with what you're trying to build for, essentially. So I use this one for a lot of them just because I usually have a ballpark by a river or like my Tampa Bay ballpark. So kind of just keeping it in line with that. So, okay, another thing that I would add that's really important right at the beginning is getting your outfield wall lined up first thing. You can select it if you want. They'll bring up all the options, but whichever one you want to choose, you're going to want to choose that first because it's a lot harder to do it. It's a lot harder to change it once you've done it later on. So just get that right first. It starts, all of your presets start with the value on the left, so it'll go 300 up to like 310, 305, yeah, 305, 310, 315. And then they kind of go all the way over. So you'll have 315, then 300, 300, 315, 315, 330, 345. Yeah. So just figure out kind of what you want your dimensions to be. Most ballparks, realistically, you're looking at 305 is super short. So you're going to want usually around 325, 332, maybe 350. I think the largest is 365 in the outfield for the corners, and then you'll want 400 to like 405 is your average in center field. So kind of keep that in mind. You're not going to have like 305 with the 300 with the big wall is going to be more realistic than like 300 with a short wall. That's it's little league dimensions. Anyways. Yeah, you want to keep it, if you're trying to keep it realistic, you'll want to keep that in mind just because they don't build ballparks with that short of distances. I believe the green wall in Fenway is 310, but it has a 30-foot wall. So just kind of keep that in mind. Most of them, I tend to use 325 to 330 for my corners, and then 400 for center field. That's kind of a general idea with that one. All right, some more of the basics. MLB The Show 22 now has the wheel. That's where you're going to get most of your stadium options. That's where you'll edit that. So just hold R1, then you've got your camera settings. You can create a prop that way, but it's not efficient. But the main reason to use this is setting up your stadium stuff. So you just kind of hold R1, use the left stick to control it around, and then L2 and R2 to switch between the different items. So, and then you can just let go of it whenever. So if you want to do the properties, you would just do that. You can press X2, that'll bring it up. That's where you can actually set the default stuff like the city, stadium location, altitude, and the seating color. Yeah, so you also have your scenery. That's where you'll set your background however you want. Same with the distance scenery. then you can also change the field there too. So the grass types, your grass pattern, and your infield dirt. So that is where you'll do all that now. And then you confirm to actually make the settings stay. If you press circle, it'll just revert it back to what it was. Also, when it comes to the wheel, it's going to be based on what you have selected. So if you're under stands, you're going to get different options like the snapping, snap the ground, and then these are your actual movements. You can do free, or you can do it by different angles and whatnot. So keep that in mind too. All right, let's talk about some